So as far as who I am, as Philip mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Global Sales at Inspy, and I've been in uh, uh, enterprise architecture for just about a little over 20 years now, supporting different technologies and working in the consulting space. So I think one of the things I've enjoyed, and the reason I kind of really enjoyed this topic, is that I've watched EA evolve from the days of what I would label as a check the box exercise into really trying to be more of a human centric approach and more about really focusing on what's in it for the customer at the end of the day. And so happy to be here and happy to talk about that with you today. So all right, so if I advance my slide and move on here, I want to kind of begin by really do this by telling a story. And this is the story of Karina, who is in the United States, and she is going to be heading to Mexico to go visit her sister's wedding. And we see her here in the car with her faithful travel companion, Pongo. Pongo is always her buddy whenever she takes road trips like this, and they're ready to go on their journey. So I think she's planning on driving across. She's going to have some big wedding plans that she's going to go to for her sister. She wants to do a little bit of touring, see some local towns, generally enjoy her holiday and her time off. So if we go into this a little bit more, right, we want to really identify, is Karina, let's see, who is our customer here? Now, we all love the dog. We all love Pongo. We all love our furry companions. But we really think that in this particular case, Karina is going to be the customer that we're talking about. And she's a customer in this particular case, she's a customer of the government. And that's the example that I'm going to be walking through today. I'm going to tie it back into some other things as we move on. I do get asked a lot, can the government have customers? And the answer is yes. And that answer is all of us, and regardless of what country we are citizens of, what countries we reside in, we are that customer of the government as they provide a service to us. So in our example here, Karina is currently interacting with a representative from the government. And this is actually on her journey home. In this case, it's the customs agent that's inspecting her as she comes back across the border, right? We could argue that the customs agent is also our customer in some regards, and that he's going to be, using perhaps technologies that we've created. But in this example, we're going to make Karina as our example. So, moving along further, I want to take a look at the customer journey map that Karina is taking as part of this full journey. And if I build this out a little bit, I'm just going to build it out fully, you can see there's a number of stages that Karina is going to go through as part of her journey along the way. And it includes things, actions that she's going to have to take. What are some of the things that she's going to have to do, about planning, paperwork, arrival to the border, trip home, etc. Who are some of the touch points? Where are some of the touch points she's going to have? The pain points that she's going to, maybe expect to experience along the way. And what are some of the potential solutions for those pain points? These are some of the things that as Karina is planning her trip that she's going to be thinking of. And then we've also mapped on here what her experience was, or maybe what her anticipated experience is for all these different areas. And obviously, green things are a little bit higher up on our journey map. Those are good things or good experiences. And perhaps, there could be some bad things or challenges along the way as well. So we're going to want to take a look at all of that. So I really want to focus in, though, on what it's going to take to get back home, right? And then there's a number of things that Karina is going to have to really make sure are done for her to get back across the border and head home. Because this is the return to, the journey, that's going to be the thing that's most important. So, first of all, it's going to be about, has she filed the right paperwork? She's got to ensure that that's been done. Does she have the right ID? Does she have her passport? In this particular case, a passport card, which I'll talk about why that's important in a second. She's used Google Maps to map the best route for her to get home, right? And then she's also considered, when I get to the border, are there specific lanes or specific things that she must do? In this case, she's specifically looking for the rapid or the ready lane that's going to allow her to get across the border quicker. I mentioned before that she's going to need a specific type of ID because in this case, and this is a little bit of a real world example, she's going to actually need to have a passport card as opposed to her actual passport because it has the RFID that's on the card that's actually necessary for her to get across the border quickly. So that's kind of where all the different things that she's going to have to consider. So with Karina in mind, all right, and customers like her, we now have our enterprise architecture team who is going to go get to work to say, how can we make this experience, this return home journey for her, how can we make this as painless and as great a customer experience as we can? So here's what our team has now gone and done. So the first thing is what they've done is they've taken that customer journey map that I showed you earlier, and they've gone into that journey map. They've actually gone in now and created this in their visual modeling solution. Full disclosure, right now, this is something that has been created in InSpy's visual modeling solution, and the diagramming solution we have. The nice part about doing it in this manner too is when we're working in a modeling tool like this, multiple teams can go in and they can collaborate on this and work together. Changes can be made. They can instantly see the impact of some of those changes, and everybody can constantly have a good view as to what is happening. Moving further along, we can drill a little bit further, and we can start to see here that we've got different touch points along the way that we might need to address, or that we can understand at least what those linkages are here. We see that we have linkages between the return to border journey stage into a couple of specific touch points, specifically the ready lane directions and the RFID application. This then is going to tie to some new projects that we might want to consider, to help improve our experience along the way, right? As well as tying to some of the business applications that are going to be necessary as part of this journey. And those are the applications that are provided by the government in this case. And you see that we have some existing applications that support our current effort. And we also have some new applications that we might be implementing depending upon projects that those are tied to. We can then drill even further down and we can take a look at specifically our existing funnel back architecture. We can start to then see the servers, other associated apps, the downstream business capabilities that are all needed to support, and they're automatically linked. We're looking here to identify things like risks or competing interests that could impact us, different investments. There's a lot of different things that we can look in here as we drill down. And this is an extremely simple example. The big overall goal here is really about understanding how all of this is interconnected and ultimately ties back to our customer experience. But this is where we now bring it back all together. And so if I kind of think of it as zooming out on this model now, what we see here is as we go around is we do see our journey map. We see how that's then linked, and we can jump into those journey and touch points and the projects. We can drill down to that application architecture. And ultimately, the other thing that we can then show is then the linkage to all of the different points of contact that we might need to work with along the way as we look to improve this. Our customer experience, point of contact, our project manager, or our EA lead on this, and maybe our application lead. Whoever's going to be involved in this, we can then tie to them as well. But then the big thing is I want to make this a little bit more powerful and meaningful, right? So what I've done now is I've turned on some specific indicators that give us a little bit more details behind this. I can now easily see the business criticality of my applications and my technology risk, that are critical to my business, some of the technology risks, maybe something that's going out of support by a manufacturer. These are some of the different indicators that we can turn on. And again, looking at this, drilling, if I just take a look at that same picture, I see right away that one of the business capabilities, if you kind of look into the lower right, it has some underlying data that's causing it to be a technology risk, right? At this stage, I may not know all the details, but it definitely gives me an indication that this is something that we're going to have to look into. What I do see right off the bat is that this ties directly into my data business application, right? Which is critical for the funnel back architecture. All right. So we see that this is an area that whatever changes we're going to make in order to, improve upon this, we know that that's an area that we're going to have to drill deeper into. So the nice part about this, I did say earlier that all this was kind of an auto-populated and that we did bring this in, right? And I think this is probably the time to talk about a little bit about who Inspire is, just for a moment. What we've done is our products are all 100 natively built on top of ServiceNow, where, simply put, a lot of the data might already exist, whether that's in the CMDB or somewhere in ServiceNow. We're able to then take that data natively without going through and building a complex API. Because we're natively built, we have access to that data right away. And so you can think about it as almost a single source of truth, that we're able to leverage across multiple teams. It then allows me to go in and look at this data in multiple different ways, and some of the ways that are more typical in ServiceNow. So that the executives can see, the dashboards that they might require in order to make decisions. We can view the models right within ServiceNow. So there's a lot of different ways of then presenting the data so that ultimately a human can make that decision. So getting back to our hero, Karina, who's now heading home. After all, this is the reason we're working, right? We wanted to be able to support her, right, and make sure that she had a great trip home. So you can see here, she seems very happy. She's heading home. The customs agent reviewed all of her data, right? And you would think that everything went nice and smooth, all right? Unfortunately, we do have one small issue, and that small issue is our buddy Pongo, right? And the one thing that Karina did not consider along the way, along her trip, right, is that, she was able to, I just had a comment that my slides are not updating. Okay, I apologize for that, because they are updating on my end. But what Pongo did is, he is not able to then ultimately make the trip home because there was another process that would have needed to be followed. And what we've learned here is that, unfortunately, this is what contributed to the negative experience that Karina had, and something that we're going to have to work on is how we can get that information to her a little bit better. Okay. I've talked a little bit about, and used an example to really about the journey mapping, right? And this is meant to, just be a very quick and simple example, but enterprise architecture and customer experience really are linked, all right? At the end of the day, once we kind of do our journey mapping, it can lead to some additional great things. It does help us to streamline our processes. It does help us with our, identifying security and compliance issues if somebody was entering, PII, data. It helps us with personalized marketing, and ultimately, as a company or as a government organization, helps us to ultimately be a little bit more innovative, right? And we have to be innovative as enterprise architects, as we think about the customer, because our government examples aren't the only things out there. There are customer experience and enterprise architecture success stories in our daily lives every day, whether that be from, personalized shopping experiences and from the online retailers that, you're shopping with, to your airline, bookings, and, linking to your hotel and car rental, companies, and, linking to your rewards accounts, whether that be, mobile, ordering your cup of coffee on your mobile app and making sure it's ready for you, down to your finances, making sure that you've got a great experience when looking at your finances and your investments. There's so many areas that enterprise architecture and documented success stories of companies using enterprise architecture to improve that customer experience. And I would argue that's what this is about. This is about us making sure that we can support our company and make sure that they can meet their business needs, or government agency. So with that, again, I was, trying to get us a little bit back on time, Philip. Hopefully I did, but At this point, I saw a couple of comments here. Just saw the one about the slides. Seems like things are fine, it looks like, which is good to hear. But I wanted to see if there were any immediate questions I could answer. So I have a question about how can you see the influence of EA within CX evolving over the coming years? It's a great question. I think that first of all, how I personally see it is that it's more and more important for companies to embrace innovation, to keep pace with some of their competitors. And that's across some of the areas that I mentioned before, whether that be online shopping or et cetera. We have to always be thinking about the customer in mind. I think some of the things that I could see evolving is certainly, advanced use of artificial intelligence and things like ChatGPT, as far as being able to leverage them towards that customer experience. But I actually do believe also, I think there's going to be more of an interaction between EA teams and perhaps the customer teams, and they're going to be a little bit more aware of some of those things that the customers are demanding and the customers are wanting. I think that's an area where I can see maturing in the coming years. So with that, I will thank you for joining me here today. Hopefully this was interesting to you. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email's on the screen here. Take care, everyone.